All right, guys, so we got a bunch of new details on the case, but we also have pictures of the kill list, okay? By the way, this is my intro. I already filmed video. And we're going to take a look at that, okay? We're going to take a look at the kill list, so we can see specifically exactly what is on that thing. And as I was filming the video, I also found a bunch of new information that throws a lot of stuff into question about this case. So buckle up, watch the whole thing, and enjoy. All right, Jesse on Fire. Welcome back to the show, you guys. So yesterday we talked about the reality of this Vance Boelter case and the misrepresentation that the media is giving you, as well as the geniuses on X. So since then, they've actually released some pages of the kill list, which if you did not see my video yesterday, let me refresh you on some information that is very important to understanding this case. So they first claimed that he had a manifesto in his car, okay, along with a list of Democratic politicians that he planned to kill, because it was a kill list in his car, right? Okay. Well, so it turns out it was a list of 70 names that were 11 of which were Minnesota Democratic politicians, and the remaining 59 were like business leaders and people in other states. And then when you connect that back to what he did for the Tim Walz appointed Business Development Board, which was develop like people who had major barriers to gaining employment into skilled workers in one way or another, and then connecting them with employers who were willing to work with the state. They probably get some, I don't know, maybe they get some money from the state if they hire these people, whatever. You start to go, well, wait a minute, 11 Democrat politicians, are you sure that that's not just people he was working with the development board? Like, what else was in this notepad that would demonstrate that it was a manifesto? They're all, well, it definitely wasn't a manifesto. You're all, I'm sorry, what did you say? They're all, was not a manifesto. You're like, okay, but it was a kill list. They're like, yeah, it looks like a kill list. You're all, okay, does it look like a kill list or is it a kill list? They're like, well, it was a list of names. And you're like, okay, right. But were the two names of the people that he went and shot, were they on that list? They're all, we can't really talk about that. You're like, okay, a person having a list of names is not a kill list. So the only full description of what this thing looked like was like this. It's a notebook that had, it's like, yeah, it had it was all these jumbled notes and what, it was like a notebook. Okay. This is not a kill list. Okay. And now they released photos of the notepad and I'm going to show them to you. And let's see if this looks more like a kill list or exactly what I said, which was a notepad for working this business development thing that he was working on. Okay. Now, there's also a bunch of new information. Well, it's not even necessarily new. It's just interesting because I guess there was new information about things that he texted to his family that I saw last night. Okay. So last night I saw this thing. It's like, Daddy went to war last night. Okay. This is what he like sent to his wife, supposedly. And then they found his wife with a bunch of passports, $10,000 in cash and guns in her car, and they didn't detain her. Okay. You want to talk about like sloppy police work at best, we're talking sloppy police work. So just to go through this real quick, right? So when the police came upon him at the Hortman house, he was outside the door. Still don't really understand how that happened. Okay. But he's outside the door. He pulls on the cops. They start shooting at him and he barges inside of the house. You see all those bullet holes in the door, like if you've seen those pictures. So he hadn't killed Hortman and her husband yet. So he barges in, he kills them, and then somehow escapes. Say what, dude? You guys were in a firefight with this guy. How does he end up escaping if you have exchanged gunfire with him? Can anybody explain that to me? How does that happen? He barges into this house and then escapes. Like, no one's all, hey, maybe let's cover the entries to the house, meaning the back door also, or windows, or whatever. Like, how on earth could this guy have escaped that house once you've exchanged gunfire with him? Okay, so that's weird, right? Then, like I said, they ended up pulling over his wife. And this is while they have this gigantic manhunt. The guy killed a senator and the majority house whip in the state. She's a state, the top state representative. And you're all, okay. And you pulled over his wife. She has passports, $10,000 in cash, guns. And you're all, I'm sure she doesn't know where he is. There's no reason to detain her. Why would she have all that stuff if she had no idea where he was. And then you subsequently find out that he had, in fact, texted her. Daddy went to war last night, so we're going to have to, there's going to be some heat on us or something like that. Like, none of this makes any sense. No one talks like that, dude. This isn't a movie. So anyway, so what I want to do right now is I'm going to read you this article a little bit, and then we're going to look at the kill list, which is like them trying to represent that, again, this is the media like, oh no, look, he had 45 politicians of his list of potential targets. Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that they were potential targets and not people he was working with? He was on a Democrat-appointed board of workforce stuff. He's at the Minnesota Africans United board. Is that a super MAGA? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this whole thing makes no sense. They're just, like, you can only assume they're doing this intentionally to try to make it out like he's some right-wing terrorist when it's obvious that he's not. It's really weird. Okay. And by the way, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet and you are a new viewer, I would appreciate you guys doing that. Dude, I got a lot of new subscribers last night. For some reason, YouTube was like, YouTube's like, hey, we should actually show this to some new people. It must have been a bunch of you guys sharing it on other platforms. So thank you guys. And if you think that this is important to share to get further context, that would be amazing as well. All right. So look at this thing, dude. So the man charged with killing the Minnesota lawmaker and wounding another in what prosecutors have described meticulously planned attack had dozens of apparent targets, including officials in at least 3 other states. Guys, does this really sound like a kill list? Like, he's like, yeah, oh man, I was going to kill 50 people, but I got caught on the second one. It's just dumb. These are people he's working with, okay? Vance Boelter allegedly made it to the homes of the 2 legislators on the night of the attacks, but one was on vacation, and the suspect left the other house after police arrived. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson said on Monday, why would they have arrived? This is just so weird, man. All of the politicians named in his writings were Democrats, including more than 45 state and federal officials in Minnesota, Thompson said. Elected leaders in Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin, too, were mentioned in his writings. Hey, because they were all, and in his writings, he said he's going to kill them, right? Because, that's what he said he was going to do, right? In his writings. Because we're going to look at what they released, which certainly they would release pictures that demonstrate that he was out to kill, right? Because they're like, look, this is his kill list. Okay? Just wait until you see what they put out. Investigators say Boelter appeared to spend months preparing for the shootings, the latest in a string of political attacks across the U.S. Well, that's convenient for your narrative. In Minnesota, Boelter carried out surveillance missions, took notes on homes and people he targeted, disguised himself as a police officer just before the shootings. It is no exaggeration to say his crimes are the stuff of nightmares. Boelter surrendered to police Sunday night after they found him in the woods near his home after a massive 2-day search. Near his home. Okay, so he's the most wanted man in America, and he's like, I'm such a meticulous planner, I am such a meticulous planner that what makes the most sense for me to do is I'm going to go home. I feel like I'm going to go home. Out of all the places that they would definitely not look, the woods near my home is probably the best bet for me to be super safe. Because the story's adding up perfectly, for me at least, right? Is he a meticulous planner that's a genius, or is he the absolute biggest moron in history? Or are you misrepresenting what the list is? And he put on the I'm the one who knocks Walter White mask. It's like, okay. So authorities say he shot and wounded. Okay, we already know all this. He's being held without bail. Okay, here we go. Notebooks show careful planning. Boelter had many notebooks full of plans, Thompson said, underscoring what law enforcement said was the premeditated nature of the attacks. One notebook contained a list of internet-based people search engines, according to court records. Okay. But authorities have not found any writings that would clearly identify what motivated him. Oh, weird. They haven't found any writings that clearly identify what motivated him. So what you're saying is you have a list of names, and you have that were generated by the internet, because that's what I saw, by the way. But nothing, nothing that says why he did this. And then check this out. Thompson says, he said it's also too soon to speculate on any sort of political ideology. Oh, weird. I thought he was a crazed MAGA guy. So he did all of his planning. He wrote down all of these notes, but in none of those notes, he talked about why he did this. I wonder if he did it because of exactly what I said in my video yesterday, right? Where specifically the woman who was killed is the one who voted against giving illegal immigrants health care in Minnesota. She's the one Democrat who broke ranks, and they ended up not getting it. And so, ipso facto, she got killed. He works on a board and the Minnesota Africans United Board, where they work with nothing but immigrants who are desperate for health care. Maybe he felt pretty passionately about that topic, and then boom, killed her. I mean, that seems like the most logical way to read into what he's doing, unless you're just going to take a bunch of notes that he had in his car that literally say nothing. Okay. In text, the suspect said he went to war. Authorities declined to reveal the names of the other 2 lawmakers whose homes were targeted but escaped harm. What? Authorities declined to reveal the names of the other 2 lawmakers whose homes were targeted but escaped harm. Why? Why would you not reveal those names? And how would you know that? Okay, that is so weird. They are doing everything they can to pretend like this is something that they want it to be. That's crazy. Yeah, we're not going to say whose house he went to. Why not? You're saying every other thing, right? You're making huge leaps in logic. Why would you hold back on that, So again, his wife got another text. Words are not going to explain how sorry I am for this situation. There's going to be some people coming to the house armed and trigger happy, and I don't want you guys around. Police later found his wife in a car with her children. Officers found 2 handguns, about $10,000 in cash, passports for the wife and her children, including the affidavit. And then why would you not take them into custody? Wouldn't you assume that maybe they're accomplices if they're trying to run and flee the country? This is insane, dude. In the car, officers found a cowboy hat Boelter had been seen wearing in surveillance footage, as well as a letter written to the FBI. The letter said it was written by Dr. Vance Boelter, and he said the shooter at large. Coordinated attack on legislators. This is just like, this is just so weird. Search for motive continues. Okay, so check this out. All right. So federal prosecutors have shared the chilling notes that Vance Boelter carried with him as he allegedly shot dead a state lawmaker and her husband and attempted to kill another legislator. Okay. So he appeared in court, yada, yada, yada. Okay, check out the pictures. Okay, here you go. Let's take a look at these. Hey, these are the only photographs, okay? If you go to the next ones, they're pictures of other things, okay? There's no other pictures of notes. These are all timelines, stuff like that, okay? There is no other photograph of any notes. Those are the notes that they are referencing, okay? So what does it say on this kill list, you guys? Okay, what does it actually say on the kill list? It says in lealis, okay? binverified.com, ownerly.com, address needed, ussearch.com, neighbor who address needed, peoplefinder.com, people looker. Okay, these are all websites where you can look into people and get information on them, like their criminal records. You can get anything. Dude, I did a criminal background check on a guy. So I don't know if you guys ever heard this story, but my car got stolen a couple years ago, or maybe it was a couple years ago. I don't know, 18 months, whatever. It doesn't matter. My car got stolen. And I had a suspect who I was pretty sure had done it for, reasons, like I'm not going to get into it. He gave me money. So I told him I wouldn't blow him up, and I won't, but the dude, I looked into him, because I had his name and I had his phone number. And so I did like a background check on the guy. And I found a bunch of debt. Like I found like a bunch of tax liens and stuff on his properties. And I'm like, okay, so the real reason I was looking into him is because I was very sure that he had done it. And I wanted to see what kind of person I was dealing with. So I was like, okay, how am I going to handle this? Is this guy, I had only spoken to him on the phone. I had no idea what he looked like. All I had was his name and his phone number. And so I was looking into him to be like, how am I going to handle this? How hard can I squeeze this guy? Because he stole my car. Stole shit out of it. I had to go get my own car back. I tracked my car and went and got it myself. And, am I just going to let that slide? I don't know. So I used one of these. It's the first time I'd ever used these, one of these websites. And I saw, literally, you can see everything about a person, everything. And, so cool. So he's like, yeah, I'm looking up addresses, looking up people. Okay. And then it's like finding people, truthfinder.com, 3 days free. Okay. Over here, need name, phone number, address, information, free. Okay. Not free spoke, not free people finding service, binverified.com. Just enter a name and state. Most property needs an American, county assessor's webpage. This is literally all just notes for looking people up. That's all this is. Nothing on here at all indicates that this is a kill list. Nothing. Okay? Nothing on here at all indicates this is a kill list. Nothing. This is bullshit is what this is. Okay? This is what they put out. Look at this. They're saying chilling notes the alleged assassin carried with him reveal he planned to target other liberal lawmakers and abortion providers. Really? Are you sure that those weren't his colleagues? So why did you put this out here? You know what I mean? Like, so I realized that you had names and addresses or whatever, but obviously they don't want to put out people's names and addresses that they block out. But if you have no notes and you have no motive, all you have is a list of names and addresses. Okay, that's it. That's all you have. And hey, spoiler alert, you guys. Okay, I have names and addresses all throughout my phone. Okay, maybe the guy's just not like a cell phone user. He uses a notepad to keep track of the names and addresses of people he works with. That's way more likely than a fucking gigantic kill list that has no motive, no notes, no reason for doing this whatsoever written in the notes. It's a lie. It's bullshit. Or they're just dumb. I mean, maybe it's not a lie. Maybe they're just idiots. Highly probable that that's the case, actually. Anyway, that's what we got for this one. This is probably going to wrap my coverage on this story, but this is a good follow-up. So love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.